So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let's give a couple of extra minutes for people to connect. Yeah. Yeah. I think there are people entering to the room, but I think we can start. So welcome again, and thank you for being here. Welcome to the fourth session of the UNESCO's Business Council webinar series. My name is Natalia González Alarcón, and I'll be moderating this conversation today. So before digging into the topic and into the webinar, just letting you know that we have a Q&A session right on the bottom of your screen. Where you can add your questions, because we will have 10 minutes at the end to kind of go through the questions you have for the panelists, and we will have a couple of minutes to reply your questions as well. So feel free to post your questions on the Q&A bottom, and we will go through them at the end. So as I said, this is the fourth session of the UNESCO's Business Council webinar series. The Business Council for Ethics and AI is a collaborative initiative between UNESCO and companies operating in Latin America that are involved in the development of the AI in various sectors and have a commitment on the responsible and ethic use of AI. So the council serves as a platform for companies to come together, exchange experience, and promote ethical practices within the AI industry. So currently, the council is co-chaired by Microsoft and Telefonica, who will be part of our conversation today. So what are we talking today? So this is the second webinar about generative AI. In the previous webinar, we talked about what is generative AI as a whole in general. What is generative AI and what is not? So, and we tried to answer different questions related about the potential of generative AI to solve some of our more pressing issues, but also we tried to talk about the potential risks as well. So today, what we want to focus on is on one side of the conversation. So we want to talk about the future of work and the future of skills, how generative AI can or will affect the future of work, and how it has to be with skills development that we as a society, but also companies and also governments are working on the skills development. So I think we're ready to start. So let me first introduce our panelists today. We have an amazing panel, and let me start with Jorge Cela. Jorge is the director of Microsoft Philanthropies for the Americas region. He leads a team of professionals who develop and executes programs that serve communities and especially workers through computer science education and skills development. He has over 15 years of experience in social responsibility, policy advocacy, and high-impact projects in collaboration with governments and NGOs. And also we will have Natalia Mata. Natalia is the global head of the AI and Data Academy at Telefonica Tech, where she leads the B2B portfolio for talent transformation plans around data-driven culture, big data, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. She has over 15 years of experience in transformational projects based on the adoption of emerging technologies. And last but not least, we have Moisa Cargo. Moisa is the AI for Impact Director at the GSMA. In this role, Moisa is responsible for the oversight and monitoring of the global AI policy and regulatory engagements, and the development and implementation support of ethical AI by design. Previously, Moisha worked in the mobile health sector, so she's particularly aware of the importance and the need to implement ethical AI into everyday activities. And by the end of the conversation, we will have the participation of Ángel Melguizo, who is the regional advisor for UNESCO on artificial intelligence and ethics in Latin America, and who has been leading this initiative of the UNESCO's Business Council for Ethics and AI. So Ángel has more than 20 years of experience in both the public and the private sectors, including being a vice president for external and regulatory affairs at AT&T Latin America, and senior advisor at the Economic Bureau for the Spanish Prime Minister. So I think we have a great group of experts and interesting topic to dig into it. So I think we're ready to start the conversation. So let me pass the floor to Jorge, who will start giving us some remarks and some highlights from the Microsoft perspective. And thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. And first of all, thank you very much for your invitation to this webinar, and thank you all the participants and the rest of the panelists. Can you hear me well? No? Yeah. Good. So the first topic you mentioned, Natalia, I make a note here, is the future of work. And I always invited to talk about future of work, and I always say the same. I have no idea how it's going to be the future of work. And honestly, I think nobody really knows. We maybe have some clues, or maybe we have a little of idea of how it's going to be. But actually, it's like asking somebody living in the 14th or 15th century, try to imagine how we work today. Can you think about that? That's really, really crazy, the way we work today for somebody that actually is from the past. So the future of work is really, really a challenge. Because of many technologies, because of the cloud, because of the IoT, all these devices, small devices that can provide us millions of data of everything, because of blockchain and all the technology around blockchain, and because, of course, artificial intelligence, which is today's hype technology. But actually, there are other also technologies that is making these days really amazing, and a change in the way of we work, in the way that the civilization actually is going to evolve in the future. Artificial intelligence, of course, is not something new. Maybe you mentioned this in previous webinar. It started in 1950 with basically starting the computer science that seeks how to create intelligent machines that try to replicate or imitate the way humans think, no, about the human's intelligence. Then this evolved to machine learning, then to deep learning. Actually, just for your knowledge, I actually worked in an artificial intelligence project 30 years ago, just to imagine how old it is. What changed during this year? What is really making this milestone in the technology of artificial intelligence? There are two things. Number one, the availability of high level of computational power available for everyone. Only 10, maybe 15 years ago, if you want a supercomputer to create an artificial intelligence model or analyze data, the only chance to get one of these supercomputers is if you are at one university, if you work from the government, or if you are really in a big company. These are the only organizations that really have huge, big, monster supercomputers. Now, everybody with any computer can access these supercomputers in the cloud, like in 5 minutes, and almost 4 cents of dollars. So this is really what is creating triggering this milestone. Because artificial intelligence needs a lot of computational power to make happen. And the other big change, of course, and this is the matter of today, is generative AI, which actually means that somebody do part of the job I can do, or that the project of artificial intelligence has been doing by themselves, which is they already process all the data. There are models that have pre-processed data that is available for everybody at almost for free, or really at very, very low cost. We know this at Microsoft. Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and organization in the planet to achieve more. As we have been working in artificial intelligence for many, many years, being always in state of the art, and actually most of the technologies that are actually in the focus of everybody, like ChatGPT or OpenAI, all this technology runs on Microsoft. So ChatGPT runs on Microsoft technologies, as you should know, and also Microsoft is part of the owners of OpenAI. So generative AI has pre-processed of millions and millions and millions of terabyte data already pre-processed, but also has a natural language. So it's not only the power of the information, the power of the computational processes, but also a natural language to access and to interface with the platform. This creates one of the biggest and most also challenging things that we are facing today. Should we be afraid of that, or what are really the skills we need? This is technology that is super easy to access, looks super also basic and easy to use, but it has many tricks. And the number one is that you need to know how to make questions. And I remember one thing that Pablo Picasso, who actually passed in 1973, so many years ago, actually the year I was born, he was asked, what do you think about computers? And Pablo Picasso gives an answer that is still today, and today is more important than ever, gives an answer that really, really, really goes to the target, which says, computers are useless, he says. They can only give you answers. And yeah, generative AI, this is what they do. They just give answers. And for Pablo Picasso, this is useless. And of course, you have to make the question. All these systems has no interest of doing nothing. They have no motivation. There is not somebody living there. You are the person, and we are the person that need to put our part to actually use properly all these technologies. And basically also, this is just statistics with anabolics, as said, no? as a show. So actually, it don't give you right or wrong answer. It give you the most probable answer statistically based on the data they have. So there are two conditioning. One is the data, and second is statistics. This is why the most important skill for using generative AI is not a technical one, it's critical thinking. Critical thinking is the analysis of the available facts, evidence, observation, and argument in order to from a judgment by the application of rational, skeptical, and unbiased analysis and evaluation. So all this is the definition of critical thinking. You have to apply critical thinking anytime you use generative AI. And I usually give this this comparison, like, what do you think about the weather forecast? How many times the weather forecast missed the forecast? How many times do you think? Think a little. Okay, let me tell you quickly the answer. They never fail. Okay, so the weather forecast never fails. Say, what? Okay, what are you talking about? That is always failing. No, it's not, because they always give you the forecast in probability. It says 90% probability of raining. So if it is not raining, it's in the 10%. And I say, well, this is a trick. No, this is not a trick. This is actually how generative AI also works. And this tells you something. You read the forecast, the weather forecast, but you have to make the decision if you are going out with an umbrella or not. This is your decision. You cannot blame the weather forecast for making your decision. And this is an important and super critical aspect of generative AI, which is generative AI are co-pilot technologies. And this is how we are calling at Microsoft, co-pilot. They give you information, they give you direction, they work on you and make a lot of your work, but finally you are the pilot. We are the pilot. So we have to make the final decisions, and we cannot and we shouldn't blame the artificial intelligence for doing that. And every decision finally should be made by a human. This is super important. So these are aspects that are not usually given. How is going to change the way we work? Well, that's a trick question. Nobody really knows, but we have some analysis and some things that we are seeing. Like, is the end of the teachers as an example? Well, actually, it's not. Like, what generative AI is going to do with teachers is going to engage, augment the work they do, potentially, of course, and if they properly use. And with LinkedIn, we prepare and we make some analysis about, like, for a teacher, generative AI can potentially augment their skills by 45%. How? Preparing the lesson planning, the curriculum development, the teacher training, the literacy tutoring. There are many aspects that actually generative AI can help a teacher, but it's never going to replace that. It's the same with, of course, a software engineer or a developer. I say, well, that's it. You don't need to know how to code for use generative, because we have generative AI. We have GitHub Copilot as an example that actually wrote most of my code. And the answer is no. You still need to know how to code. Otherwise, you cannot use GitHub Copilot, which is our technology for helping developers. If you are a developer, a junior developer, this technology can increase your productivity in 20–30%. But if you are a senior developer, so you really know what you are doing, it can actually improve your productivity in maybe 60, 50, or 60%. So it's a lot. It's really a lot of productivity for you. It's the same, again, for a cashier, for an event manager, again, by helping them to create images, to create planning, to help them check grammar of the documentation, to transform a presentation to a document to a presentation. I mean, a lot of productivity advantages that the generative AI and is going to help us. But again, we'll never, we are going to never lose the human aspect. What we as workers have to add to the daily job. So basically, this is what I want to talk. And again, thank you very much for your time. Finally, I'm going. I don't think I can put something in the chat. We just have some basic generative AI training available in the LinkedIn platform, of course, for free. There are also in many languages, including Spanish. So I can share with you the link, and you can go there and take this training for free, and even get a certification if you want. I think this is super useful. Again, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Jorge. And yes, those inputs sounds super interesting for the audience to take a look at them as well.
Put it in the Q&A or in the chat?
In the chat.
In the chat. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah, and I love what you mentioned about the importance of doing questions and the critical thinking, which is especially like a key topic when thinking about how is like the education system playing with these new technologies and how they are managing the children to use these technologies without losing the importance of critical thinking before starting using those types of technologies as well. So thank you, Jorge. That was super interesting. And now I'll give the floor to Natalia from Telefónica.
Hello, everybody. One moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it was a real pleasure being here today. I'm Natalia Mata, head of the AI Academy in Telefónica Tech, and I'm going to explain what we are doing at Telefónica to promote these new skills required in this era of AI. Of course, AI-driven future of work demands new skill sets, and it's expected to have the greatest impact on the business in the next 3 to 5 years. Now it's time to prepare ourselves. And regarding to the transformation of human talent in organizations, I can see 3 main goals to achieve the incorporation of AI ethics. One moment, because here. Okay. I can see three main points. The first of all is the adaptability, is a core skill in this evolving landscape of generative AI. Employees should be ready to embrace these new technologies and adapt their skills to work effectively with them through tailored training programs that encourage this adaptability. Then a focus on ethics is important. As AI becomes more integrated into our daily work routines, ethical considerations are not negotiable. Training programs should incorporate the responsible use of AI, data privacy, and bias mitigation, for example. This knowledge will not only empower users to make better decisions, but also will support the integrity of the organization, of the full organization. And the third point, the culture of lifelong learning, in which organizations should encourage employees to regularly update their skills and stay informed about the advances. Now I'm going to briefly tell you what we are doing at Telefónica in several aspects. How we train our teams, what we offer to accompany our clients in this new era, and what we do in social actions focused on the common good, employability, and in the society in general. Let's just start in our company. We have 2 great initiatives for global employees in the 12 countries where we are. On one hand, Universitas is our corporate university that offers transformative and experiential training, mainly in a live format, in small groups. On the other hand, our platform called Skills Bank that is based on a self-assessment of the employees' skills. And this platform recommends training modules and itineraries according to your profile. Then the ethical principles and the security and transparency requirements are defined in our AI governance model, and this is transferred to all employees through different actions, such as onboardings, online programs, or champion certifications. And everything we apply in our company, everything we research and test, we also want to offer it to our clients, of course. For this reason, Telefónica's value proposition around AI and generative AI includes solutions to customers' end-to-end needs, from strategic consulting to the deployment and infrastructure, security, adaptation of models, training, and expert advice on ethics and regulation issues too. Adopting generative AI tools needs to involve prior steps, both at a strategic and management level, as well as the technological capabilities or the training of the teams. Internal communication is very important in this transition to participate in the corporate strategy and correctly use the rules to use these tools. If we zoom in our training services, you can see different formats and scopes. These services are in high demand due to the growing needs that our clients also have in their companies. To face these challenges, taking the first steps and establishing a common path, both in public and in private organizations. And finally, what we do for the society through our foundation, Telefónica Foundation. One of the most successful developments is the employment map that analyzes public job offers in real time with the aim to identify which professions and digital skills are the most in demand in various countries. This map also is complemented by a virtual assistant that provides personalized help for the users. You can try it at the displayed URL. Then Enlighted, the Global Congress on Educational Innovation. This Congress is organized by Fundación Telefónica, Fundación La Caixa, EA University, and South Summit since 2018. Or Telos Magazine, founded in 1985 and dedicated to science, technology, and humanities. Telos has spent several decades talking about data in general and artificial intelligence. In our next number that will be published next November, you will see a monographic dedicated to artificial intelligence and its impact on our society. And finally, I will talk about the Telefónica Foundation space here in Madrid, where there are a lot of exhibition projects, forums, dialogues, and conferences focused on disseminating digital culture and integrating technology with humanities. And in summary, what I want to explain today is that learning from internal projects, we can also offer our clients and the general public solutions to take the step towards the application of the AI, promoting inside and outside the company the new capabilities needed to be prepared for this exciting stage we are experiencing. And that's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Natalia. It was great to learn more about what Telefónica is doing about training with different stakeholders. So maybe we can dig deeper a bit later after we hear about Moshe. So I'll give the floor to Moshe.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
And you can see my screen. So maybe
Yes.
one thing that I wanted to start with is actually about the GSMA. So I think everybody on the call knows who Telefónica is, as also Microsoft, but not necessarily knows the GSMA. So GSMA presents the interest of mobile operators globally. It brings together all of the operators, regardless of emerged or developing countries, and covers multiple different topics, everything from connections, network, spectrum, just to name a few, to events like Mobile World Congress, etc. A very important initiative, especially these days with AI hype happening, is AI for Impact, which was founded already in 2017 in order to bring together partners, both from the private and public sector, to commercially scale responsible AI for a better future. So we worked very closely with a global task force. These are the mobile operators that are the AI leads from 26 mobile operators globally, representing more than 2 billion connections and over 100 countries, but also with other partners, like, for example, UNESCO, OECD, and other UN agencies, governments, international organizations, academia, and private sector. And together with them, we are working on two different fronts. One front that is particularly very important today is around frameworks, responsible AI and ethical components, as also policy, data privacy, as you can imagine, being component of it, but then also AI in action. And this is where we bring use cases, multiple different use cases where mobile operators can support private sector as also public agencies, and also, of course, internal efficiencies. Now, as you can imagine, given that we sit beyond the mobile operators and represent the interests, one of the things that we are also supporting is a positive policy and regulatory environment. And as part of that, we are doing a lot of capacity building. So I'll actually step back a little bit from generative AI hype and delve a little bit bigger into AI itself and how capacity building courses are incredibly important also for policymakers and regulators, particularly given what we're seeing in Europe, but now even more so in other countries. So as part of the GSMA capacity building course, we are giving extensive range of free training courses, which have been delivered over 13,000 training days to more than participants from more than 160 countries, and with beyond 90% satisfaction rate. All of these courses are emphasizing real-world examples to help understand the implications that different policies and regulatory approaches may have and how they can affect delivery of these kind of frontier technologies. Given we are delivering in face-to-face as much as possible, now again after COVID-19 times, but also we have an online course. I think one of the things that it's very important, and that's why I'm also stressing so much, this is for policymakers and regulators, is that this course is accredited by the United Kingdom Telecommunication Academy, which is an internationally recognized center of excellence. And because of that, we are really strict into whom and who is in the room when delivering these courses. And now to connect it to AI, so one of the courses is mobile big data analytics and AI. As part of that, we are actually looking into 4 different areas. As you can imagine, quite a lot of policymakers and regulators are only getting familiar with AI. So it's really important that we deliver a very fundamental importance of what AI even is. Like, what is the difference between AI and Gen AI? What does it mean when we speak about one and the other? And how can one or the other support? And I think it's a little bit unfortunate that we're devoting so much effort into Gen AI and kind of like forgetting the bigger component of AI. And this is something that we need to look into it. As part of the course, we also look at multiple different use cases and then at multiple different components that one needs to consider, everything from the technical considerations to business models, ecosystem and stakeholders, policy, regulatory requirements, etc. And then final 4th module focuses very strongly on responsible AI by design component. So essentially looking step by step, what are multiple different components that are required in order to deliver responsible and ethical AI by design. One thing here to connect is that, so mobile operators, as you have already heard also from Telefonica, from Natalia, is they're taking generative AI and also ethical AI implication very seriously. And because of that, they are doing a lot of awareness and training across the board. Telefonica certainly being one of the champions in this field. But on the GSMA side, it all have started already way back when we started working on the AI principles perspective. Firstly, looking into the privacy, and then later on also into specifically AI ethics, And then we started working with mobile operators on the AI ethics playbook, as also on this developing with them self-assessment questionnaire. And this helps you put entire ethical thinking into the implementation and into everyday practice, so that we don't see it as a compliance burden, but that we actually see it as a step toward seemingly putting it into the product design opportunity, as we believe that only like that there is going to be a very strong uptake of this kind of thinking. We're now working and further supporting operators in implementation, also learning and working very closely with partners like UNESCO, OECD, and others. And finally, we will continue doing so as we progress. I guess connecting this to the generative AI component, what we are seeing is that operators are now very specifically looking into generative AI use cases. A component of this is future of work, which Jorge mentioned. I think it's still unclear entirely what all it can be done, and quite a lot of operators, even those the most advanced in Singapore, Korea, and Japan, are actually only looking and testing everything. Everybody is coming across multiple challenges, and I think that's why reskilling and upskilling is incredibly important. So as part of the GSMA, we then have separate workshops directly with operators, and sometimes also including private sector, like Microsoft, for example, when we are discussing directly on what are the practical implications that are required in order to drive this as smoothly as possible. What are all components that are needed in order to raise awareness, in order to support upskilling and reskilling? And as you can imagine, we are all on this journey together. We are all still learning together. And I think this is something that we'll continue learning from and also sharing. So on our side, certainly we already have one big workshop ahead of us with mobile operators in November. But then for us, the biggest event is certainly Mobile World Congress later on in Barcelona, where we are really looking forward in kind of like sharing the latest on Gen AI, both from the application perspective, but then also from specific guidelines that are required on the ethical AI side. So what are the components that can be reused or leveraged from the wider responsible AI by design? And what are the ones that need to be looked into more detail and that actually need to be given even more attention as they go? So this is it from my side. What I'll do is I'll also drop in the link if there are policymakers on the call to GSMA training, so they can have a look. And if any further questions, I'm here and happy to respond.
Thank you very much, Moisha. I think it was super interesting to learn what GMSA is doing on training and upskilling and reskilling for workers and policymakers and regulators as well. So before, I have a couple of questions for the three panelists that we have today. But before that, I just wanted to tell the audience that we have the Q&A button in the bottom of your screen for you to leave your questions or comments there. We will have a couple of minutes at the end to go through them. So please don't be shy and ask your questions through the Q&A. So it was interesting to hearing about your different initiatives and the different efforts that your institutions are doing related to skills development and capacity buildings and so on. So I wanted to go back to one thing that I think Jorge mentioned, because since we start talking about AI and the future of work, there is one concept that is haunting us, I think, is automation. So how AI can replace humans and workers. And this is like a feeling of fear when we think about future of work. So I wanted to ask you, how do you think we can shift from this automation perspective and the replacement and of workers to a more augmentation perspective? That was something that I think Jorge mentioned, and how we can how we can use the technologies and AI and generative AI as a tool for us to be more productive. So I think you already mentioned some initiative and some specific programs that you are developing in your companies, but I would like to double click in that specific aspect of the topic. So I don't know if some of you want anyone to start, or okay, go ahead.
So to the answer, if these technologies are going to create more work or to destroy work, the answer is yes, both. It's going to do both. It's going to create a lot of new opportunities. It's already created, and it's going to make a lot of works disappear. If the technology is going to, and by automation, is going to replace my work, well, if we are doing an automated work, it's going to happen. Yes, absolutely. As happens in the past with other technology. Anytime a machine reproduce some automatic or do something more productive for the human has been replaced with these technologies or processes. This is not something new. We have to be prepared, and this is why it's so important. The work that UNESCO is doing, what we have been listening from Telefonica and GSMA and all the technology and all the companies that are doing that. Hey, you need to be trained. Today's work is not a problem of opportunity. There are plenty of opportunities. The problem is we need people to be prepared for this opportunity. So that's my quick answer to that. Don't be afraid, just be prepared.
Yeah, to complement what Jorge say, there is no doubt about the possibilities that generative AI offers at the corporate level and at all levels. So the question will be not if to embrace this technological advancement, but on how to do it and how to prepare ourselves to embrace these changes, and how to shift, how to do this shift is crucial, because I think we have to understand that AI is a complement of human capabilities. As Jorge said, it presents both challenges and opportunities for everybody and for all the companies, of course.
Moija and then Angel.
Are you sure Angel was faster?
But you
but,
first, yeah.
So I think on my side, yeah, I couldn't agree more with both Natalia and Jorge. I would just like to mention one operator that comes actually from more emerging markets, where fear toward AI and generative AI is even bigger than what maybe we are seeing in developed countries. And I think what is important that the more we go toward emerging or even like non-developed countries, the more we need to address the importance of fear. And that comes through the awareness. So essentially raising through the awareness of how Gen AI or any other tools are going to improve their workday rather than replace them. And I think this is the component, this is like mindset shift that can help or is helping actually and working for quite a lot of operators that we are seeing. So is this raising awareness and reducing the fear? But just finally, what I would like to say is like, we need to take on this journey all of the stakeholders. Like, let's not just focus within the companies. Like I loved Natalia's presentation slide on all three components, internally, B2B, as also society. We need to go even deeper and look into the public sector. So as part of the GSMA, we're doing a lot of that, but essentially everybody has to be on this journey. Because if somebody sends in like fear, and especially if it's Elon Musk, then everybody's talking about it, which potentially is good, but potentially not. Angel, over to you.
Thanks, Moija. No, I understand the fear. I feel a bit of fear to AI, frankly speaking, because I thought maybe 2 or 3 years ago that what I did was so creative and so different that machines were ages ahead to provide there. So we have to understand that, I mean, if you catalog the different technological waves, software, robots, and then AI, okay, software, we, the people in this call, thought, okay, this is going to be clearly a complement and strength for my work, because I don't have to use a calculator. I'm going to have, I can code, I can program, I can use my tools. So it's going to save a lot of time. But we call that there were a lot of people who were substituted by that software, but we didn't feel touched. No. Then came the robots, and robots, I mean, for us is clearly have a greater, let's say, range of products, more affordable, everywhere, faster. But recall that there were a lot of blue-collar workers who were directly replaced by robots. They were AI and generative AI. I think that one of the biggest differences is that is impacting most of the work that some of us thought it was untouchable and was clearly human. Having a bunch of data, use it, and then produce a nice diagnosis as an economist is now done in seconds by some of these machines. Obviously, there are some human touches here and there, but anyhow, I mean, fear is understandable. So actually, my question was gonna be to go back to the panel and tell them personally how they feel with these instruments and how intensively they're already using them for their work. It's not just developing AI, but also using AI for their work and things that they were not using before. Because I think that's the point, that AI is already a general purpose technology. It's already impacting all sectors and all our dimensions of life. So fear is understandable. Agreeing, obviously, on the recommendations that all of them had said. I mean, equally, as we said, secretaries, go upgrade because software is going to help you. Equally, that we have said blue-collar workers, go and look for another job. Well, this is our time. So how do you feel, guys? I mean, because I hope that as the economist said, they will be made by humans. It's going to be like a quality label for some developments. But if not, what can we do? No, so it's more a personal touch. Let's see if you dare to react. I'm pretty sure Moira will react. But
oh, I love it. Sorry, can I jump in? Yeah, and I will actually connect it to one of the questions. So I'm over 40. I think I love it. I think, like, for me, like, I guess it's really important right now, even more so than ever, that we are childlike inquisitive. So essentially that we open up this whole of like being interested and wanting to learn as much as possible. And I think this actually gives us that on one hand, we kind of like go along with this fast evolving space of Gen AI, but on another hand, we already have so much more experience that the youngsters don't have. So I think from that perspective, as long as we are open to trying different things, then I think we are ahead of the game, if you ask me. But we do need to kind of like overcome the fear. I would say I also have fear, but like I would think I have less fear than others have, and that keeps me going. And sometimes fear is good. A component of fear is good because that keeps you moving and that motivates you, that you want to become better and better. So that's certainly one thing. But yeah, over to others.
I don't know if Natalia or Jorge, you want to also reply Angel's question?
Quick comment about each. I don't know if you remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, Jorge.
No, quick comment. I don't know if you remember that I said that the most critical skill for this generative AI is critical thinking. The older you are, the best critical thinking you have. So actually, I think that people that are over 40, super young, by the way, of course, are even more prepared than young people for using these technologies, again, because critical thinking is the most important. That's it.
I was thinking about the small and medium-sized business, because sometimes we forgot this kind of small business, and maybe they will find more difficulties to implement disadvantages inside their processes. I think the technological companies and the organization and governments will support them and because they don't have the muscle, sometimes don't have the infrastructure to implement new advances.
Yeah. Thank you, Natalia, and thank you, everyone. We have just 5 minutes left, and we have a couple of questions on the chat, and I would like to kind of try to combine what we have there as our last question for you to quickly reply, and then Angel will do a couple closing remarks. But basically, what the question I think you saw and you mentioned it, Moja, is how to create incentive, perhaps, for specific groups of populations which has in some way some disadvantages, or if we think about elderly or the vulnerable population, or some, I don't know, indigenous groups, you know, like some vulnerable populations that might not have the same possibilities to have to do some trainings or to go through different upskilling and reskilling programs. So what do you think could be the potential programs or incentive for them, or for creating more inclusive programs in this process of reskilling and upskilling?
If I can jump in, so on the GSMA side, we also have Mobile for Development, and Mobile for Development is particularly actually working with developing countries. Quite strong focus is on Africa, as also in Southeast Asia and others. As part of that, we have multiple different components on how we are supporting. I bring Natalia's comment in, so we are working there very closely with small and medium-sized enterprises. We have an innovation fund where we're literally supporting entrepreneurs and others, and connecting them then with the big tech, as also with mobile operators, and on the side driving the entire ecosystem in these countries. So there are multiple different components, everything from capacity building, workshops, training, innovation fund, etc., where we are supporting also, we call it sometimes even the last mile. So it's certainly something we are not keep leaving them behind, certainly something that we are putting a lot of effort into it. And just to the last one, to hire us, like on our side, yes, we are doing a lot on learning and researching and then applying that onwards. So for us, insights, engagement, and then impact it's quite an important component, and they're kind of like connected into a bigger approach that we are then doing either regionally or in the countries itself.
Thanks, Moja. Natalia or Jorge, do you want to complement?
Yeah, maybe to mention the importance of the assessment, identify the specific skill gaps of each kind of community or employees group to prepare training programs according to the real demands. Sometimes we used to offer general programs, but I think not all the employees need the same, not all the groups need the same. And of course, accessibility, diversity, and inclusion, of course, to consider the unrepresented groups and support them with maybe mentorship opportunities for specific groups too.
Thanks.
We feel, yeah, so we are the philanthropist organization within Microsoft. So actually our main focus are people in vulnerability. We know that whatever you are born, whatever is your education level, you have a great potential. And we really see a lot of potential everywhere in our region, in LATAM, in every country. Even with the people that actually lives in the biggest poverty. These technologies are absolutely great for helping these people to transform all this potential in something real, to engage their creativity, to help them to sell their products, their services. All these technologies are democratizing, and I think even the small businesses or smaller entrepreneurs or just workers or at any level, job seekers, everybody can take advantage of this technology. I think maybe the biggest enterprise should be more worried about that technology, because really puts in the same level smaller and individuals, workers or opportunities. So we are super excited about what all these technologies combined can really help the humanity and help to get more prosperity for everybody. The key, really the key is that the people should be prepared, to be trained. The good news is that all the content is available. There are many trainings available, and there are also for many levels. Whatever you are, we can help you to give one step further. So everything is there. I hope it happens as soon as possible, because really the potential of Latin region is amazing. It's really important.
Thank you, Jorge. Yeah, I like to end the conversation with this reflection on what we need at the end is the ability to learn, the continuing necessity of keep learning new things and be open to new skills as well. So I think we're over time, but thank you everyone. Thank you Jorge, Moya, Natalia, and the audience to be part of this conversation. But before closing, I'll give the floor to Angel. So over to you.
Just 30 seconds. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining. I mean, you have seen, two companies, Telefónica and Microsoft, who are building skills tools for this AI world. GSMA working particularly with governments, UNESCO working with the G20, specifically to build the skills for this future work, not to be afraid. I mean, or use the fear to move ahead, which was more the point. I loved Jorge's optimism on this critical thinking that gives us us over 40s some advantage over computers. At UNESCO, we have identified also teamwork. So I don't know, sometime maybe the machines will start to work as teams even better than we do, but still we have some age that's important. And just to invite everybody, in a month, 23rd and 24th of October, we will be meeting governments, civil society, academia, think tanks and companies in Santiago de Chile, to have a ministerial for Latin America for AI representatives. And there we will be also launching some of the tools that these partners, strategic partners of UNESCO, have to be prepared and actually to take advantage. And just closing, as we have said some others in the past technical revolution, just go with the flow, adapt, take advantage. It's going to be good for you. Well, then it's time to apply that advice to us, and also retrain, up skills, and move ahead. So thanks a lot, and see you in Chile in person with some of you, and virtually if not. Thanks.
Yeah, and just quick note, I left the link to the photo to the Chilean event for you to register online. We will have a live streaming event on the 23rd. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.